you guys. Aaron Feely going to throw. That pass is batted up into the air. It's picked off. That'll be fielded at the 14. Returned out past the 25. He's going to get out past the 30, past the 40. Knocked out of bounds at about midfield. He's rolling to his right. He's going to throw it. He will, and it's caught inside the 5, down toward the goal line, and in for the touchdown. Jumping into the news from last night, the New York Giants may have officially ended the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes as well, but first and foremost, they have signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year, $10.5 million guaranteed contract, a chance with incentives to earn up to $21 million on the season, but that involves a playoff appearance, so we'll see about that one. But anyhow, how does this shake up the New York Giants drafting strategy? I think this definitely has some major implications for a lot of the teams that are drafting in the top 5, in the top 10 this coming up draft. Or, hey, will the New York Giants still be looking quarterback? This screams to me backup plan, because I think New York doesn't know what the Cleveland Browns are going to do at number 2. And there's a lot of trading scenarios as well. Someone could trade with Cleveland. Cleveland still needs a quarterback unless they're going to ride it out with Kenny Pickett on the year. Aaron Rodgers is still floating around out there, but as far as I know, the only team he's spoken to, other than the Giants, who obviously decided on Russell Wilson, was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yeah, no real clarity as far as what's going on with that situation. But for the New York Giants, as of right now, they head into the season with Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson as their 2 primary quarterbacks. Tommy DeVito is still on the roster. So we'll be curious to find out if Cleveland doesn't trade out, they stay where they are, and they don't go quarterback. Let's say they go Abdul Carter, they go Travis Hunter. Might talk about that on a mock draft coming up later this week. Ooh, tease. But yeah, if the Cleveland Browns decide to go best player available, they decide, hey, you know what, we don't really like the quarterback class. We're rolling into the year. We've got Kenny Pickett. What do the New York Giants do at 3? Because now they've got a quarterback. You can feel comfortable rolling into the season with Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback. Especially, Brian Daboll is there. And, I mean, this may have even just been a chance at him trying to save his job here. Kind of reminds me of Matt Nagy going to the Andy Dalton well in 2021 when he knew that was kind of maybe his last season to really have a good, strong chance at keeping his job. So he went with a veteran quarterback. Brian Daboll brings in Russell Wilson. He's going to have him for a year to try to right this ship, get him back to the playoffs. They went in 2020. They won a playoff game. 2022 won a playoff game, beat the Minnesota Vikings in a shocker in that one. Ultimately lost to the Philadelphia Eagles a round later. But, I mean, Daboll, very well respected for what he had done up in Buffalo as the offensive coordinator, came to New York, took him to the playoffs his first year. It's been a little bit slower ever since, but hey, we'll see if a quarterback change does him any good here. Russell Wilson coming to the G-Men on a 1-year contract, Jameis Winston waiting in the wings. And, Deion Sanders recently was asked where he thinks his son will go in the draft at one of his recent Colorado press conferences, and his quote was a little, eyebrow raising, because he used the term hope. I hope it's New York, which seems like interesting wording to me from Deion Sanders. They hope it's New York. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a warning to Cleveland. I mean, Deion is already on record as saying if the situation isn't right, where Shedeur went, that was before this previous college season, but that it would be an Eli. His exact words were, it'll be an Eli. Meaning they could refuse to play for certain teams and basically inform them in advance, hey, don't draft us. I'm not coming to play for you, essentially. And it would force a trade scenario or something. But, yeah, I don't know if I hope it's New York is subtly just informing Cleveland of their intentions or what, but that was what Deion had to say about it. But now New York has gone out. They've signed Russell Wilson. He'll come to the Giants, and we'll see what he can bring to the new. I mean, he was okay for Pittsburgh last year. Obviously, the team made the playoffs. Steelers fans probably were hoping for a little bit more from the former Super Bowl champion, MVP, vote getter perennially. And it wasn't really the aerial assault they were hoping to get out of Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, but I mean, he was adequate. He was certainly okay with Denver his final year there as well, but they also decided to move on from him. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if he can come to New York and, put up 25, 28 touchdowns, 10 to 14 interceptions, 3,000 to 3,300 yards, I would say New York would probably take that. That would be okay. I don't know that it's going to make them a playoff team. I don't know that it's going to win them the NFC East with Washington, Dallas, and Philadelphia still being there. But, I mean, it would certainly be watchable football if you're a New York Giants fan. Something to get you tuned in on a Sunday afternoon after a couple years of dreading the NFL season after 1 week or so. So, yeah, Russell Wilson coming to New York to compete with Jameis Winston. We'll see how that all plays out. I personally feels like a stopgap, but it's a perfectly reasonable stopgap. It's one of the better ones you can possibly get. I still think Russell Wilson, if you're going to have a bridge quarterback, that would be the elitist bridge quarterback you've got left out there. Aaron Rodgers trying to be wooed by the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Not really sure how I feel about that one. He was kind of a garbage time merchant last year with the New York Jets. Wasn't overly in love with how Aaron Rodgers played the last season in New York or his last year in Green Bay 3 years ago now. It's been a minute for Aaron Rodgers. I think Russell Wilson certainly comes with a lot less baggage as well for New York. And now attention just turns to the draft. Will they still go quarterback at 3? Will they trade back? Obviously anything could happen at 2. At 3, maybe Travis Hunter is there, maybe Abdul Carter is there, but do you feel like, you know what, we'd rather just get more picks? Maybe someone else wants a quarterback. Maybe you trade back with the Raiders, or maybe you trade back with Pittsburgh. Maybe Pittsburgh's willing to give up a huge ransom to come up to 3 and secure a Shedeur Sanders or someone if they fall. It should make for an interesting April, I'll say that, but the first domino falls. So Joe Flacco's still out there. Aaron Rodgers still out there. Some of these teams still in need of a quarterback. A couple of options left, but Russell Wilson off the market. He ends up in New York. And now we see what happens at pick 3. And thank you all for tuning in once again. And I'll see you guys next time.